I've loved Pokemon since I got the original Blue, but they just had like a 25th anniversary, and in all this time, it's never occurred to me to have Pokemon fusions. They're all over the place, and some are even automatically generated. I know I'm stooping pretty low to get attention through Pokemon, but I really have fallen in love with them. I don't know if they count as Pokesonas or OCs. I don't know what you do with them after you make them, but I've got like 7 of them now. I didn't really know how to explain a Pokemon fusion, but there's a lot of unethical breeders in real life, and a lot of implications of Pokemon breeding are horrific if you think about it too much. So I thought all these fusions live at a rescue because they're compromised and unfit for battling, or abandoned or surrendered by their owners for being unmanageable. I really liked this Ghost Corsola Vaporeon fusion. Full credit to the artist for the design. This is a package from Spoonflower. I used the free Vaporeon pattern by Crafty Witch. It is literally the first result if you Google Vaporeon pattern. A lot of the Eeveelutions have free patterns, so that's really nice. This pattern is a little Pokédoll-ish with the big heads, but not entirely. I took the pattern into Photoshop to paint it. I also modified it for jointed legs. I really love articulation in everything, so I wanted my little plushes to be able to pose and move. They have 4 joints in the legs and 1 for the head. I also feel like I am not very good at sewing. You have to be humble to learn and to do art. I thought a simple free Pokemon pattern that was fairly small would allow me to finish them quickly, which turned out not to be true, but whatever. I maybe made a mistake to work small because it's more difficult, but I need to learn to have cleaner seams, whether it's machine or by hand. I want to embroider the eyes and paw pads on each plush, make them kind of detailed and elevated as toys, so I used a quilting hoop on the fabric before I cut the pieces out. I have to leave a lot of pieces open for the joints. I placed the back fin thing between the seams of the back, and was very pleased that I managed to sew it on the machine without completely destroying it. I use simple plastic joints here. You can make a hole in the fabric with an awl or an X-Acto knife, but go slowly. If you make the hole too big, you'll end up having to sew it closed around the joint peg. The fabric should fit as snug as possible without tearing. All the pegs face into the body, since the reverse wouldn't work. I don't have a lot of hand strength, so getting them tight sometimes needs pliers. You can use fabric glue to secure the holes around the joint peg to avoid fraying, but I didn't bother. I'll come to grief as I may. Her paws turned out a little wonky, but it adds to her character, I guess. At least they're cute little beans that add quality to the plush. The head itself was very simple. It was the top fin and ear fins that proved to be the hardest part of the plush. I couldn't sew them on the machine properly, so I picked out a lot of stitches and hand tacked. I think my seams look pretty bad, and it's obvious that they were sewn by hand. I sewed the earpieces into the head seam, just like the back fin. Win some, lose some. The peg in the head points down into the body and through her frill. I really made sure that joint was tight and the holes were neat. After that, I did her tail fin. It's a little obscure in the original piece, so I took fin shapes from other Eeveelution fusions and painted them in her style. I'm also not nearly as smart as I think I am, as I realized I'd only printed enough for 2 fins, one big, one small, when I needed 2 of each. I had plenty of white on the original yard, so I made them with a whip stitch because I was fuming by this point and had no patience to try and screw them up on the machine. I used Ohuhu markers, which are alcohol markers, to match the other fins. I rubbed the marker into the fabric, then let the fins dry overnight. If you mess with fabric after you've marked it with alcohol markers, the marker will rub off on your hands. But when it dries, it's permanent. So not immediately noticeable, but different and still a shortfall. I absolutely love her unicorn horn. Best part of the plush. I almost named her Ghost, but that bothered me because that's a type in the game, so I finally decided on the name Shy. She's not a very happy Mon, even in her original picture. She's antisocial and hides a lot. She's afraid of people and prefers the company of her fellow Eeveelutions. She's also more active at night because her albinism makes her eyes and skin very sensitive, so during the day she's usually underwater with her friends, who we'll meet later. She's a bad swimmer because her fins are flowery and for show, not functional. but she likes to explore the lake bed at the rescue and walk on all fours there. So that's it. Hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more Vaporeon Fusion plushes with you.